the Hindu text, the Mahabharata, there is an epic about the Amrita or the elixir of life. It all starts with Indra, an ancient deva and king, offending the sage Durvasa. The sage, as punishment, took away the powers of the devas. Seeking to restore their strength, the devas joined forces with the asuras to acquire the elixir of life. In return for their help, the devas promised to share the elixir with the asuras. This partnership of chaos and order was created to churn the cosmic ocean and bring the elixir to the surface. The two races used Mount Madeira as a rod and Vasuki the Snake King as the churning rope. Vishnu supported the mountain as a tortoise to prevent it from sinking. The asuras held the head of the snake, and the devas held its tail to churn the ocean for 1,000,000 years. Before the Amrita could surface, a legendary poison was released from the churning. Shiva quickly drank the poison, preventing the ocean from being tainted and preventing further harm to both devas and asuras. Before the poison could reach his stomach and kill him, his wife Parvati saved him by choking him. 14 different gifts were also given by the cosmic ocean through its churning. There was the moon god, the goddess of wine, the celestial dancers, a mythic wish-fulfilling tree, gems, and a lot more. When the Amrita finally surfaced, the asuras and devas immediately went back to being rivals and fought for the elixir. In the end, the devas won with the help of Lord Vishnu, who took the form of a distractingly pretty woman. The devas drank the elixir while the asuras were busy and acquired its gifts. Another notable mention of the Amrita involved Garuda, a legendary king of birds who fought his way into taking the elixir. He actually didn't do it for himself and instead did it to free his mother from being a servant of snakes. He was rewarded in the end and became a chariot of Vishnu. So what exactly does this elixir do? Well, the Amrita is usually translated as an elixir of immortality. It actually grants an exceedingly long life, spanning thousands or billions of years. It also gives wisdom and supernatural powers to those who drink it. Basically, the devas were restored to their former glory after the ordeal. Aldous' elixir seems to be inspired by this story. In drinking the elixir, one is poisoned while the other gains its gifts, much like Shiva drinking the poison before the devas could get the elixir. I'd go as far to say that Owl and Crow's relationship is symbolic of the Deva-Asura partnership. Owl, unlike Crow, doesn't seem intent on antagonizing Dale, though he does kill the Vandermeers for a greater purpose. In his previous life as Jacob, he was even kind to his family. He acts like everything he does is in service of a greater future, and while he does things that are cruel, he doesn't seem to enjoy cruelty all that much. When he does kill his entire family in Rusty Lake Hotel, which is the most obvious act of revenge he's ever done in this series, he prefers that everyone else do the dirty work, and acts like it was a necessary sacrifice for the lake. What I'm saying is, he's relatively nice compared to other characters. He seems like someone who works towards a future he views as already set in stone. He's not directly like a deva, but his role seems to take inspiration from them. Crow, on the other hand, represents the Asura because he is a massive, chaotic bitch. He seems a lot crueler. And to be honest, very ruthlessly focused on obtaining power. He basically kills his brother for the elixir he made. He won't say it, but I feel like he basically murdered him. Furthermore, he has a whole game dedicated to him going into the ocean below Rusty Lake, and like I mentioned before, the Asura domain is on the ocean floor. That's also where Rusty Lake's symbolic underworld is and where the corrupted souls are. He also has seemingly the same abilities as Owl, with shape-shifting and using cubes to alter reality or memories. Crow and Owl have a partnership, but it seems like it's born out of their desire for the elixir and not from their mutual trust. It's an alliance built on their own goals. If Crow and Owl represents the partnership of Asuras and Devas, then Crow and Dale represents their usual rivalry. I mean, come on, look at them. They hate each other.
Who are you? I want problems, always!
Rusty Lake has said that the elixir is the key to enlightenment, and the cubes as the key to both the characters' past and future lives. The cubes are used to obtain this game's enlightenment, but they also grant different powers or have different effects on people. White cubes are extracted good memories, while black cubes are extracted bad memories. Whatever the nature of the memory, extraction of them causes one to be corrupted. The memory cubes are sacrificed to the lake to appease it. The gold cubes are created by combining different cubes. Not much is known about them, but Mr. Crow's book said that they're the key to the past and to the future. And the blue cubes are shown to turn back time. If the characters in Rusty Lake are made to resemble powerful asuras and devas, these are one of the supernatural abilities and possessions they have in becoming one, and it's all tied to the lake. Now obviously Rusty Lake does not strictly follow the beliefs in Buddhism and Hinduism. People who are still alive become corrupted souls. The elixir of life can be made through dog poop, and absolutely no one knows what happened in Bobbert's bizarre adventure. And this, no one knows what this is. I mean, I know it's based on collective invention, but I'm just saying, it doesn't fit neatly into the epic I just mentioned. I'm aware that a lot of fiction made by white writers used non-white and non-Christian concepts or non-white names to add some spice to make the world seem more exotic or strange. There are times when it's written in a way that's insensitive. Often the insensitivities range from "I still loved it," "I acknowledge that it could be better, but it's also still really good," to "never mind, this is disgusting." So far from the way people from these cultures react to Rusty Lake, it's not considered demeaning. There are Indian, Chinese, Korean, and Japanese fans who think of this series very positively, but don't just listen to me about it. Please think critically and put in the work to educate yourself instead of just following whatever. Parroting anti-bigotry slogans without knowing what they mean, not internalizing what they mean, and not understanding how the smaller bits of bigotry contribute to the whole is how you get well-intentioned racism. Or liberals who can't identify a Nazi if one showed up to a dinner with the SS Bolt tattoo. Anyways, if you're basing magic or lore on a culture you're not a part of, it better not upset, disgust, anger, or negatively affect people who belong to that culture. Rule of thumb is, if you talk to a variety of people whose culture, languages, and beliefs serves as the basis or loose inspiration of your story, and an alarming number tell you that it's distasteful and offensive, bordering on bigoted, it probably is. Also, I want people to keep in mind that Rusty Lake was inspired by different cultures, and by that I mean they did not invent Sanskrit for the puzzles. I've seen the confusion. That Sanskrit, they didn't make that up. So back to the game. We know Dale is going through trials and tribulations to replace Mr. Owl and symbolically become like a deva. In this world, that means becoming enlightened and becoming the next hotel owner. Besides working in the service industry, this probably means he will take on the position of sacrificing memories to the lake. We know that enlightenment can be obtained by Aldous' elixir. By the 70s, he is only able to make a lesser version of it through the Vanderboom dog, the last creature to take advantage of the full elixir. The dog does not seem to possess shape-shifting abilities and instead only acquires a longer lifespan through enlightenment. That being said, enlightenment in Buddhism and Hinduism is very different from enlightenment in Rusty Lake. The people who drink the elixir aren't closer to enlightenment. To say it in very simple terms, enlightenment in Buddhism and Hinduism means being free of the reincarnation cycle, being free of worldly attachments, and finally seeing the world for what it is. Becoming a deva or asura meant that there was a fatal flaw holding them back. According to the Mahayana teachings, people who were born as devas were held back by pride. Asuras were held back by jealousy. Humans were held back by lust, animals by stupidity, and hungry ghosts by greed. Due to a level of awareness and capacity for good, humans have the higher chance of reaching enlightenment, not asuras or devas. And these characters aren't just stuck in a cycle of reincarnation, they're stuck in the cycle of familial violence and tragedy for the sake of power, like Succession. So what is this enlightenment? Is it just power in this world? Is it gaining the ability to alter reality and memories? Well, in the 1700s, Caroline A. Lander formulated a different enlightenment ritual, and she also formulated a ritual of reincarnation for corrupted souls. It all makes sense. The lake is a false idol and empty promises, like shadows on a wall. The lake wants you to think it will give you enlightenment, but it goes against the detachment philosophy. It wants you to be attached to these memories and to the supernatural abilities. And the lake wants you to want the cubes, which gives you powers but can also corrupt you through extraction. They say you will reach enlightenment, but these demented Dutch people just become supernatural beings with a grudge, and everyone just gets stuck in the reincarnation cycle again. And the lake is also like an angry god from a Christian perspective. It uses the same plagues in Moses' story, but instead of their god wanting to liberate and abuse people, the lake will only be satisfied when the only person trying to help, when Jacob, the one who sort of resembles Moses, is killed. And it's like the Binding of Isaac, where it asks Nicholas to sacrifice Jacob and he obediently follows, but this god wants you to kill your children. And it's like the Wicker Man's chosen sacrifice, with Dale getting the role of Sergeant Howie, the martyr. And the path is the reason for the destination. And oh wait, that's for next video. Yeah, I'm gonna explain what that means next time. Bye. And also, please watch the Prince of Egypt movie from 1998. It's like one of the top 10 best animated films of all time. Okay, bye.